The reason I do the epidemic thing is
because you mean to men.
I am mean to men.
I seen that clip. Don't
I
be
am
mean to men.
I'm really proud of being mean to men, actually.
That's crazy.
I'm not mean to you.
Nobody speaks upon the average man as if he's special at all.
Mm-hmm.
He has to make all this money. He has to be a certain height. He has to have all of these things just to be considered.
I don't need a man to do anything for me but love me. I don't need you to feed me. I don't need you to put a roof over my head. I need you to protect me in the sense that you like protect a partner, not like safety in the world. That's a dynamic that is really difficult for a lot of men because men were not raised to be interesting.
Guys have to have the most character to make it. She has a real disdain for men.
You really don't speak for the average woman, but the average woman wants you to speak for her.
What do you think of the male loneliness epidemic?
Why you say epidemic?
We're gonna talk about it.
It's a real thing. I got 6 brothers, you understand me? So I can see how, and they all of different ages. So I can see how, right, this new technological cultural age that we going through has affected them. I can look at my friend groups, I can look at peers, and then I travel around the world speaking to men and they confide in me of what's going on. Sometimes what they tell me is what they don't tell me at the same time. And I can tell you that the average man, let's say this, just the average man who wants to live and be respected and loved in society. Nobody speaks upon the average man as if he's special at all. Mm-hmm. You understand me? He has to have all of these accreditations, right? He has to make all this money. He has to be a certain height. He has to be a certain type. He has to have all of these things just to be considered in conversation, right? And so it makes him feel invisible, right? And then when he goes to places, he's not treated, you know, just with common decency a lot of times, right? A lot of times he gets blamed for the whole patriarch when he's just trying to get him a donut or something coming into the store. It's like, damn.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, the average guy get treated like crap. The experience for the average guy is horrible. You can walk out there, hold doors, open doors, just try and be friendly to women that come around you, and they will treat you like crap. If they don't find you a qualifiable candidate, you are not respected. And that's what Joy means when she says that. I treat majority men mean. She's saying that she treats the guys that she doesn't find as a sexual candidate mean, which is horrible because you got all these good guys out there. If you were in trouble, a lot of these guys would come to your aid and protection. But I don't understand how it's become a place to where just because I don't want to sleep with you, I need to be mean to you. That doesn't make any sense. That is horrible mindset to have, but a lot of women feel like that.
So I think that amongst that on social media has him comparing themselves to unreal expectations.
Right.
Right? Mentally, financially, and physically. Right? So I think that men are disconnected from themselves. Right? Because Hollywood and social media has curated all these ideas of what it means to be a man. Right? So a man doesn't even know if he is anymore. Because was it being a man when Hollywood gave me a version of the gangster or the pimp, right? Or, you know, James Bond, right? To certain people. It was all these ideas. If I'm not a drinker or a smoker, or if I'm not a tough guy, it was never like position manhood. It's like you can be an average intellectual man and you're masculine, and that's enough of being yourself. So I think the loneliness epidemic is real, and that's the most vulnerable population.
So I think there's a lot of layers to it. I think when it's the reason I do the epidemic thing is
because you mean to men.
I am mean to men.
I seen that clip. Don't be mean to men.
I'm really proud of being mean to men, actually.
That's crazy.
I'm not mean to you.
I know. But that's
seeing a woman like Joy think that she's better than every other guy out there. But the thing about it, Joy, you very average. If you take away all your money, if you take away your clout and status, you would just be a regular woman, just like the school teacher up the street. You're not gonna be, honestly, you're gonna be worse because you have no feminine qualities or traits that will make you into a sweet woman. If you wouldn't dare say that you don't like, you don't appreciate men around you.
It's an outlier. You understand me? I don't exist. I'm not a statistic. I'm an anomaly.
Yes, of course.
That's why I say that I champion the average man, because those are the ones who need it. You feel me? I've always had certain privileges in life, right? Just because of the way that I see myself, the way that I think, my ability to communicate, my level of attractiveness, whatever it may be, I feel like I've always had privileges. So I speak outside of myself.
From a woman's perspective.
Okay.
I don't like to speak on what men experience because I'm not a man. I only have my experience with men. And I have brothers and I have nephews and I have many men in my life and I adore them.
Really?
I'm speaking from a women's perspective. This generation of women is one of the most unique generations in history, at least in modern times, because this is truly the first generation of women that have any kind of autonomy over their bodies, over their ability to make money, over their ability to be entrepreneurs. You don't have to have a man to get a credit card. You don't have to get a man's approval to start a business like this. When you are financially independent from men, it creates a different dynamic on the lowest end and the highest end, because
I would literally say that this generation is probably the worst generation of women that we have seen in modern times. Yes, women have more control of their bodies, but at the same time, I would say that comes to a detriment. A lot of these women have no real respect for the electrician, the plumber, the construction worker. These will all be qualified as average guys. She can sit right here and say that you don't need these guys, but when shit go wrong, who you think you're gonna be leaning towards? You're gonna be leaning towards those guys to keep the infrastructure running. These fields and career paths have gotten people in a false sense of reality to not even understand who keeping the lights on. It's not just you paying your power bill. It's not you paying your water bill. It's a deeper part of a level that most people do not understand, that the average guys are working to keep these things going. But guess what? If you strip the system away, these guys that understand that knowledge, those would be the high value guys now. I don't think a lot of these women understand that, but they don't care.
there was a time where you had to have a man to have a roof over your head. To exist as a citizen, you had to be with a man. And not just like claimed, you had to be married and then like immediately make children, whether you wanted to be a mother or not, whether you were fit to be a mother or not. Like, there are just a lot of things that define women that are not in existence right now in totality. And the connection to men has become a different demand. Now, this is my experience. And the women who are close to me. I'm not speaking for all women. Like, I'm just giving my opinion on what my experiences are and the women who are around me are experiencing, because I talk about it all the time. I literally had a conversation on the way here today with my girlfriend about this. And what I think the disconnect for me and those men is twofold. One, I don't need a man to do anything for me but love me. I can love myself, but I can't love myself in the way that a partner will love you, right? Like, love. I don't need you to feed me. I don't need you to put a roof over my head. I need you to protect me, but in the sense that you like protect a partner, not like safety in the world. And I think that's a dynamic that is really difficult for a lot of men, because men were not raised to be interesting. Like, you just had to show up and have money, and that was like enough, or show up and be tall, or like be from the right family. And that's just not the case anymore.
Okay, she said a lot there. I want to unpack a few things before I forget what I'm gonna say. First of all, the fact that she can say that that she has really priced herself out of the dating market. Y'all really think about it. She's made so much money now to where she doesn't need a guy for what a guy is supposed to be for. Provisioning, protection. She only wants a guy to just love her. And I'm gonna be honest, ma'am, to actually love you, that guy is going to have to do those first two things that you say you do not need. Why would he want to date himself? Really think about it. He's going to be dating himself, dealing with such a woman that's, yeah, I don't need anybody to protect or provide for me, but you still want the provisioning. I've heard her on other podcasts state that I want to be pampered. I want a guy to fully take care of me. I don't want to have to think of whatnot. So how do you want to pretend that you need it, but then you really don't need it? Why would a guy take you serious if he already heard you say that you don't need it, but then you want it? Now you're just putting on the act. And then part two of that, she said that guys don't have personality. Ma'am, any guy that's like of affluent status, celebrity, entertainer, they were all regular guys. Guys have to have the most character to make it. Man, you know how many funny uncles that we got, cousins out there? Like, I'm talking about guys who to her would be like a nobody. Man, these dudes got plenty of character. Your local car wash guy, your local barbecue spot guy. You see how she has a real disdain for men to say that men aren't supposed to have personality. Women don't have personality. The only thing she can talk about is her experiences and the things that she has acquired or done. Men have to be creative. They have to be funny from themselves. They have to bring out real character, personality, be able to woo people, to be around people, to get the opposite sex. Bro, let's just continue, y'all.
The other part of it is, I think the propaganda that those men that you're talking about are being fed is that women like me are the reason that they are not happy, which is not true in totality, unless I'm mean to you, of course. I know I just threw a lot at you.
No, I can download that. I don't know if that's what the average man thinks whatsoever. And I think it was an oversimplification of men's existence. And I think that happens a lot because we polarize things. Nothing is ever simple. Everything is always complex.
That's nuance.
But we never want to think about the complexities, right? This was men's mistake when it comes to women, right? We didn't think about the complexities. We didn't think about her period and menstrual cycles, right? And not having access to pads or days off, right? Things of that nature. We just thought about our experience and what we want from them, or what we don't want from them, right? And me as a black man in America, I don't think we've still gotten a generation of black men who have autonomy. Say what you want to do what you want to do, right? Move how you want to move. I was talking to a young lady who works at a prominent black media space. And she was explaining, she said, Keys, I'll be trying to advocate for you to get you awards, to get you honored in certain spaces, but they don't think you're safe enough. And I'm like, why not though? Now, she was telling me that, of course, now they're even more afraid because of Donald Trump. They don't even want to use the word black or diversity, right? So they're trying to figure out, what can we do while continuing to get in white ad dollars, right? So they're gatekeeping, right? So that to me, it's not surprising. I already knew that. She was only confirming something that I knew. But it's like, as a man, there are limitations to what society will accept from you. You understand me? Especially the version of man that you want to be, right? I think the version of man that men ultimately want to be and how we show up, I think this generation minimizes themselves consistently.
I'm gonna just have to get a little bit of pushback. Okay, when you start asking for ad dollars from another ethnicity group, you have to still be preaching a message that's digestible for all ethnicity groups. If you're in a certain space or a niche, you might not be able to get the most ad dollars. That's just common sense on that part. So I had to give them a little bit of pushback on that part. Everybody's not going to digest your message.
Right? As a black man specifically, we've never gotten to the point where the black man is completely free. We're killed for our expression. You know what I mean? We're killed still for being black as we walk down the street, regardless of sexual orientation, class, level, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's one of those things to where when we hear how other people express their ideas upon us, it makes us feel as y'all don't understand the complexity of what we deal with consistently, right? And while at the same time, we're lobbying for empathy towards everybody else, whether you're gay, whether you're a woman or whatever it is, we're like, I don't think you're taking the same time to get agency of thought to what we go through, right? So then it becomes this battle of, if you don't care about me, why should I care about you, right? True. And then this becomes divisive because we're talking at rather to each other. And then we talk to the women we like, or we talk to the men we like, but what about the average man? He has feelings, ideas, he grew up a certain way. He probably is still trying to figure out whether he's a tough man, a real man, a high level man, a high value man. He don't know. There's all of these expectations that society is saying that a man is not living up to. But what about the ones that he is living up to? Because our parents still went with the average man, right? He didn't have to have all of these great things. He might have been a plumber, right? And he had a nice business and he can take care of the average woman who was doing the average things as well. And so for individuals such as yourself who are more anomalies, right? You exist in
I love how he said anomaly instead of like high value. I'm glad that he didn't use that buzzword high value as a woman. I'm glad he said anomaly because she would be considered an anomaly based on the amount of status, clout, money that she has earned over the years. She is not on the average female level when it comes to financials, but beyond that, she is still very much an average female.
A certain bracket, a certain class, you travel a certain way. So you really don't speak for the average woman, but the average woman wants you to speak for her. They want to aspire to have those same wants, desires, privileges, right? But they don't, right? The average woman, black woman specifically, is in debt. You know what I mean? With even more debt than the average black man, right? Between the years of 1976 and 2011, there was an incline in black men going to college. It fell off during the Obama administration. Why? Because net income didn't rise because you got out of college with a degree but no opportunities, right? So you increased in debt and it decreased your belief and it started to create this nihilistic thinking about your world. Like I'm living and existing in somebody else's world, and even when I do what they tell me to do, I still don't get the privilege. And then upon that, you have all of these shifts happening between white supremacy and George Floyd and Mike Brown. And now the world acts like they care about black men when we get killed, but there's still really never been any change for men, black men specifically, right? And then that became more of a societal-wide idea of men. So that disconnection actually made them easier to psyop. So now somebody say, okay, well, you're not being taken care of over there, and you keep voting this way or you keep going this way. How about you come with me? You understand me? Because we got the same enemy. So now you're going to see political, ideological shifts. People speaking towards the issues that men go through, right? While another side is saying, ignore your issues, fight for these. But these people are going through a cognitive decline. Black men, suicide rate consistently increases. We're not a suicidal type of people. Depression rates consistently increase. Anxiety. I hear black men telling me, I ain't never had anxiety before. It feels foreign to them, but they're experiencing anxiety for the first time, and these are very resilient men. I think more men, we tend not to communicate, not because a lot of times we don't know how, we just don't think people care when we do, right? So instead of listened to, we're challenged, right? And so I think that makes a lot of people say, you know what, I'm gonna just do what I wanna do. And now we exist in a time where men have more desires than ever as well, because you have more options. The more options is its own kind of slavery, because when you have too many choices, you can't make a good decision.
That is true.
And the more desires there are, the more discipline you need, right? But you need more discipline in a time where it's trying to consistently sell you overstimulation. So the entire environment is not set up for men or women to connect with each other, empathize, understand.
Let me just say something real quick. When he mentioned about selling us on the overstimulation part, he is 100% correct. But the thing about it is, man, I don't know if it's just us as a people, blacks in general. We literally gonna have to start moving like some of these other ethnicity groups. And when I say that, I mean, man, we're gonna have to simplify things, man. Not get so caught up in all the glitz and the glamour. Try and be more grounded. You know, don't feel like we can never make a decision when it comes down to picking the opposite partner. That you always feel like you can get better. It's just. That's why a lot of guys date outside of the black ethnicity group, because even our own women, they don't stick around us a lot of the time, to where you have a lot of women that just constantly wants to find the next best thing. You know, I don't want to waste my time here. Oh, I might see just one thing. Oh, I got to leave. I got to jump ship. Nobody's ever able to just want to fight through the long haul. And that's why, and it's a two-part thing. The men also need to be better when it comes down to choosing the right mate, you know? But at the same time, it's still based on biology at the same time, you know. So it can be nuanced, but it's also very an in-depth situation.
Again, it's the reason I'd rather have us talking over coffee than liquor. You understand me? Because we might actually get to a place of understanding.
Do you think that people are too far gone though? Because I'm listening to you and I'm thinking,
she don't want to change.
Sure, you and I are outliers, and we shouldn't, in some ways, I shouldn't be speaking for people who have a different experience than me. But I say all the time, like, I'm an outlier for a bunch of different reasons, not just because of my job. And I don't think it's...
How? Please, how, Sway? How are you an outlier outside of your job? If it wasn't for your job, nobody would know who you are. That's just a fact. It's your job and your career that has you as Joy Taylor. Just being honest. I mean, I'm not trying to, attack this woman, but it's your career, who you are. Outside of that, you would just be another regular female that's attractive, that, a guy will be trying to probably take on dates or woo you.
People are like, oh, like who are you giving advice to? Like, it's not advice. Unless I explicitly say I'm giving you advice, I'm actually not. Because I don't think it's fair to skew things in that way. And in a lot of what I think is happening with men online is this idea that, like, part of it is the idea that, like, women and modern women and feminism is keeping them from the women that they deserve to be with. It's like the OnlyFans, influence of, like, okay, I can now...
You think you deserve to be with OnlyFans? You already messed up.
Exactly. That's what
but this is, I mean, women are not funding OnlyFans, like men are.
Yeah, but
so
those men
there's two-way business.
Sure, but I am not subscribing to anyone's OnlyFans.
Yeah, neither am I.
Okay,
Consume
we're
porn.
not either, but like we know the statistics of OnlyFans is millions of men. Like the reason that the OnlyFans women are on OnlyFans is because men are paying.
Yeah,
for
millions
that.
of like lonely men and who have fetishes and all these other weird things. And there's an industry for everything.
Sure, and
If you
I
wanna
actually,
prey
I'm
upon
actually
people,
like,
there's an
I'm not
industry for
a judger of the sex industry at all. It's always existed, so it's not. It's just
Are
evolved.
you a champion for it?
I think you should have autonomy over your body. I think if you want to sell your body, you should be able to do that in a consensual space. and I also think that for many parts of history, it was a very, I don't want to say essential part, but like it's prostitution and the exchange of like sex and money has existed since humans have existed. It's
All right, so just hearing that alone, we all know, when it comes down to promiscuity or sexual desire in the form of prostitution has always been around for sure. But we now know what side Joy Taylor stands on, because like I said, it's going to have to be women to actually stop or promote the problem. So Joy, we know what side you on. You part of the problem. I hate to say it. Instead of saying that, you're against that, you will be the female that's trying to protect femininity, modesty. But now you saying that, oh man, I'd rather a woman be able to do whatever she want to do with her body. What side are you on at that point? You're not protecting females. You're not. You're on the side of exploitation, capitalism. Just because you can capitalize in a society don't mean you got to capitalize on everything. I think it do need to be certain boundaries or whatnot, because if you don't, that's when things can spiral out of control. You got a lot of impressionable young people. They start getting these industries. You just start creating more and more broken people. It's okay to have boundaries and limits on certain areas in society because everybody not built to be in them. Some, they can be in them, but the majority, they're not going to be built to survive and thrive in those spaces.
like one of the oldest occupations. So I think it's a very complex conversation. And I actually believe that OnlyFans has created a space for a lot of women to become financially independent, and they aren't physically in unsafe scenarios where in the past they would have been if they were in that business.
Yeah, I think it goes more into a mentally unsafe because a lot of people stop liking themselves.
Sure. And that's like a whole,
but
that's a whole other thing.
It's holistic. It's all connected, right?
Sure,
I think the man who's lonely, trying to find himself and, looking at OnlyFans, trying to connect and get some stimulation, right? The girl who's disconnected from the world, right? Willing to disconnect from this moment of selling her body. They're essentially kind of going through the same thing, right? And at the end of the day, men and women are the only beings that exist on the planet Earth. It's just us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know people love their animals and stuff, but it's just us, just men and women. I think when you get to a simple thing, we have to get along. There's, as beyond our politics, our ideologies, philosophies, etc. It's just us as human beings figuring out.
So how do we fix
how
it?
the hell to get
because
along?
we're talking around whatever the issue is, and it's a very complex thing.
No.
But the reason I bring up
Joy
that
talking about?
OnlyFans thing is like, are we too far gone? Because
Nah. That just represented a certain moral decline in society that happened on purpose, right? You disappear values and people do whatever comes to mind, right?
So what's your fix?
That's the idea of Satanism, is do as thou will, not God.
Why she pressing this man?
The fix, number one, I would start with media. You know what I mean? Media has such a powerful ability to storytell and narrate what people believe. One of the most nostalgic points in time, where I look at it like a renaissance instead of a revolution, there was points in time we did get along. I think we color history as super gray. You understand me? But there was time where black men and women were really enjoying each other's company, right? We're building, was fighting the right enemy together. And the enemy wasn't each other, right? And the problem is we allowed the enemy to make us each other's enemy. And that only serves them. Doesn't serve women, it doesn't serve men. Because women's quality of life has not increased, men's quality of life has not increased. The elite's quality of life has increased. Right? Because now we need more makeup, we need more liquor, we need more trips, we need more girls' trips, we need more purses, you need more everything to make up for the lack of what you have inside or the connections that you have socially. Right?
Deep.
What cognitive behavioral therapy replaced community, right? So you will go to grandma or sister or friends and have conversation that remind you who you are. It remind you of your power. Now everybody's looking for themselves being lost. I don't believe in finding yourself. I believe reminding yourself. right? And our culture needs a reminder of who we are, but we tell stories of the past as if it was all bad. You go into history and you highlight the cultural memories, right? Because if we talking about culture, my definition of culture is consciousness and motion, and there is a complexity of things that make that. If we say, what are our cultural memories that we have together? We probably go yesterday or day before yesterday, anniversary of Black Wall Street, right? Tulsa bombing. That's one thing. Then most of these are traumatic things. Black people dying, we're not getting along. These are like our cultural memories. So if you think about a person and you sitting down and you asking them, what are your core memories? And they're all traumatic. That's a very low consciousness, right? So I look at culture as this consciousness, as this complexity in our music, our media, economics, our spirituality, our fashion, right? All of these things, and we can grade the health of each one to say whether they're healthy or unhealthy, whether they're high or low. And if you focus on attacking each, and I think that's where media plays a part in what they call strategic imagination, right? Futurism, right? Or reframing what the past was.
I think I'm gonna leave it right there. He is cooking, but yeah, I just don't want it to be too long. Y'all definitely check this out in its entirety. What y'all thought about Joy Taylor's stance on 19 Keys' stance when it comes down to treating men and the average man, the attack on the average man, and women not being as receptive to the average man? I think, man, so many layers to the problem. Like I say, I can't just say it's just one specific thing, but I will say this. If we did have women on our side, I do believe that men would operate a little bit differently. And when I say women on our side, I'm not saying that just let us bust them down. I'm talking about having genuine women that actually want to, stick by a good guy, and then from there, we definitely need to have good morals and values that come from the family. That's why I say if you find a guy that has good morals and values, you follow that guy. Now y'all create a family, good morals and values. See, it's a waterfall effect. But if you get with the guy who has no morals, no values, no code, you're just gonna produce more, whack shit. But that's why I said we have a lot of moralless women at the same time. So it's an influx of them also. So now you got them dealing with possible good guys, ruining the good guy's life. Now you end up staying in his life, and vice versa. You got the bad guy staying in the good girl's life. It's a big part. It's a big problem that has a lot of solutions possibly, but it's going to take a lot to actually get to that point in place. Make sure y'all check out the Too Personal episode in its entirety. Y'all like the video, comment below. Make sure y'all watch this. Make sure y'all like, comment on this video. This is JayBReacts, y'all. Until next time, peace.